So welcome back to the CorpFit Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing everything about apprenticeships. Today, we are joined by two of our corporate coaches and the founders of the Black Apprentice Network. So please, guests, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Kwesi. I'm a degree apprentice at Bracket Bank, in the technology division.
My name's Ruben. I'm a degree apprentice at a Big Four professional service firm. I work in legal.
My name's Elijah. I'm a technology consultant apprentice.
I'm Safiya. I'm a software developer degree apprentice at a Bracket Investment Bank.
I'm Coach VA, a technology degree apprentice at a Bracket Bank.
So Elijah, Ruben and Kwesi, you guys started the Black Apprentice Network. Could you please tell us a bit more about it?
So basically, the Black Apprentice Network is supposed to be a vibrant community of apprentices where they could kind of learn, they could connect, and they could grow together. So it's really just creating that network. We basically saw a part of the apprentice community that was pretty much overlooked, and that there wasn't as many kind of routes for people to kind of connect, kind of interact with each other and meet new people that are going through the same challenges as them, the same experiences as them. So we decided to create the Black Apprentice Network to help those people and to also help younger people, aspiring apprentices, that want to get into the space, as apprenticeships are just growing in terms of, you know, their demand and how many people that want to do them. So we just wanted to be that avenue for the African and Caribbean community to, you know, show them the power of apprentices and the power of kind of connecting with each other.
Okay. So could you kind of expand on what you've learned so far as you've been building it and it's been growing?
I think what we've learned, that there's so many of us being Black apprentices. In my firm, we have a cohort of 14 individuals. 5 of us are Black in my year. But in our group, we're touching, I think, close to 60 members already in the first 2 months. Not just in London and Midlands. I think the Midlands space, that's massive. I was surprised. We have a split, about 60% of our groups is in London and 40% in the Midlands. I think that's just surprising that we've spread out all over the UK.
I think I learned the power of community. I didn't realise how important it was for groups of people from similar backgrounds to connect. Would be like the like-mindedness in that kind of space, you know, that allows for growth. I think we kind of drew inspiration from social charitable organizations like Amos Bursary and the Black Excellence Network, to name a few. And honestly, that the power of that community aspect is amazing. And honestly, I hope going forward we'll be able to reach levels like that. Yeah, like the few companies I did name.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that exact same point, because even someone like Kwesi, right? I didn't meet Kwesi. I met Kwesi like year 10. But like I only reconnected year 12, and we only reconnected once we were in kind of the Amos Bursary, like you said. So I think like being able to create those networks and create those long-lasting relationships of the people within the network, I think that's pretty cool.
You mentioned that like it just kind of grew and you were like, oh, there's a lot of people that fit into this community and this space. So have you had to like adapt from where you started to where you are now in like your approach or your vision or your mission, whatever the word is?
One of the things that happened was that there was a lot of aspiring apprentices that wanted to have their own space. Like a lot of them popping up to Kwesi, popping up to you know what I'm saying, on LinkedIn. So we decided to create a similar group like the Black Apprentice Network for aspiring apprentices. And we thought that creating those spaces would allow those people to kind of connect. And especially since those guys are so like enthusiastic, they're very eager to like ask you, even on, like I said, platforms like LinkedIn, they're eager to ask you, cool, I've applied to this apprenticeship, like what do you think? What's your experience at uni? I want to apply to the same uni. So it's kind of like understanding how much demand there is in a space like this and trying to be the gateway. That, because there's no one else that's kind of doing this. We understand we're in a very niche space, so we would kind of want to make sure that we create that space for those people.
Yeah, I'd have to agree on I don't think we expected the demand to be as great as how much we're seeing. Like we knew it was going to be okay in like maybe 20 active members. But on LinkedIn, for example, we're like 800 followers, and I think we've had to move a bit more clever in how we're like on our strategy, because we can't just half-heartedly go for it now, because we're being held accountable by everyone that's following us or everyone that's in our chats. Before, maybe like we could be a bit more relaxed with it. When we're sending out text messages to the group chat, we could say, this is going to happen. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. But now, if we put something in, we're going to get messaged by at least 10 people in the group saying, when's this happening? Then you're like, oh, like I actually promised, I promised a community of people to do XYZ actions, and now we have to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think even in terms of the size, like we didn't realize how national it would be. We thought it'd pretty much be citywide. We literally did not think people in the Midlands would even pop up. We didn't really count for them, and then suddenly we had a couple of them in the group chat, and we're like, damn.
Some of them are most active in the group chat.
They're excited. Like
the Midlands apprentices,
Nottingham, Birmingham, all of them now. Yeah. But honestly, they show a lot of love, and we're gonna be out there within the next couple of months. So I think we had to adapt our like physical strategy, making sure that we're gonna have events in different areas as well. But
it's not just London.
Okay, and I think I agree, because a lot of people use LinkedIn to reach out to current employees of a company they want to apply for, or apprenticeship. So to have a hub that people can just go to and be like, do you know anyone in this, or can I get some advice? I think it's amazing. And 800 followers on LinkedIn. Yes, well done, guys. But as it stands today, the network, what are the next steps? So now you've reached this place where you didn't really envision. What do you think is next for the Black Apprentice Network?
We have a mentoring scheme that we're starting for kind of aspiring apprentices that is supposed to work much more closely with them. Really help them kind of have the support that they need to kind of progress and kind of go for the apprenticeship that they want, because it's kind of apprenticeship season now. A lot of companies are opening their applications, so we want to just help that. And we also want to make sure we throw events now, like throw kind of spaces where they can kind of connect and people can kind of really engage within the community. But those are kind of like our next steps for the next coming months. As Ruben mentioned, we're going to Midlands soon as well, trying to make sure that everyone in the network feels like, you know, we care about them and we really want to help them connect and help them grow. So yeah, that's some of what we want to do in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think the more immediate things are the aspiring apprentices from my side. I like outreach, especially to the younger community, getting people into the apprenticeships, and then I think Ruben and Elijah are more focused on, once you're in the apprenticeships, how you're going to go from there. But the next steps is just actually learning what the community want. So going to Midlands, for example, start doing like a dinner in the Midlands, something like that, just so that they actually know that it's not just a WhatsApp group, it's actually something that's prosperous.
Yeah, honestly, I'm more excited to throw the events like the dinner, have a meet and greet with everybody at least, or even the people that I can't attend, we're probably going to have like Zoom meetings one-on-one to see how people are, because honestly, I want it to be like a friendly community, more like a family than anything. So yeah, I think the mission, the goal, is achievable, and it will be in the next few months that we see a lot of growth.
Yeah, definitely. Up to September at least, like this, especially this summer.
Yeah.
Because when everyone's working in whatever city, everyone knows that summer in corporate environments, it's a lot more fun. So people have a lot more time. So hopefully we'll do more events closer to August time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys really have your ear to the ground, which means like it's amazing we have you here today, because we are talking about everything apprenticeships, and we're also joined by Safiya and Victor, as you guys know. So we are going to be just talking about a few things that we think are really important to know about apprenticeships, and like a bit of our personal experiences as well, maybe some advice as well. You're going to get the tips and the tricks and everything you need in this episode, so stay tuned, guys. Okay, so I'm going to kick it off. I think we should start with like our personal experiences. So firstly, I'm going to say why I chose to do an apprenticeship, and if anyone has any outlandish reasons or sensible reasons, I don't care. We're not going to hold back today. So I did it because my degree was not in tech. So I didn't do a degree apprenticeship. I did a degree and then an apprenticeship, which a lot of people don't usually do. But I wanted to go into tech.
I think my one's a lot more like illogical. I think results day came. I was very worried about my results, but when I got my results, I remember just looking at them and saying, okay, cool. It's between University of Nottingham studying politics or studying law in a Big Four company. And I said, you know what? What's going to make me better than everybody else? I remember saying to all my friends, Nottingham was my dream university. Because, I think there's a lot of like rumours about Nottingham and all the fun things that happen up there.
Everything.
And I was like, yeah, that's my dream uni, but uni's not my dream no more. Like, let me chase the bag here. And then, but honestly, that's how it started out. But I always did want to be a lawyer. So chasing that degree apprenticeship was it just made sense after that illogical reason of just being better than everybody else, the competition and everything.
Yeah. I think mine's kind of similar to that, not from the immediate get-go, but in year 13 trying to think what company would I want to be working for after whatever degree I studied. And so I looked at the company. There was about 3 in mind of these bulge bracket banks. If you know them, you know them. And I said, let me go to the website, see how I can work for one of them. Is it going to be internship? The bank I chose did a degree apprenticeship, and they were doing the degree at a university that people in my college were applying to as their firm choices. The bank said that they'll pay for my degree for free. I'll still get the degree, and I'll get paid on top of it. So it was kind of like a double whammy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if double whammy is the word, but it was like two birds, one stone. So that's how I did it.
It makes sense. But the thing is, obviously, you're doing a degree and an apprenticeship, and you're trying to live your life. Because your dream there, Ruben, I'm not going to say anything, but it's questionable. So like, obviously it can be tough, but I want to know what you liked about it. I want to know what everyone likes about the apprenticeship.
I'll kick that off. I mean, I think I just like being in the working world, really. I feel like I didn't really need to change too much. I feel like I was ready before I got there. Just kind of waiting for me to survive. And like, I really, really like my team, so I get on well with everyone. And I felt welcomed from like the get-go, so I think that's kind of like the key thing. And as well as that, just kind of like the learning aspects, I get a lot of exposure to different like sectors. Obviously I'm at an investment bank, so you get like things around trading, equity. So I don't really feel kind of stuck in one place. I'm always learning, so I feel like that.
And I'd have a question to ask you, Safiya. So for me, when I thought going to the working world, I thought, okay, I'm going to get my blouse ready, my blazer ready, my cocker shoe. But then I got there and I was like, it's not exactly the dressing that I thought it would be, but maybe that's just my firm. So for you firstly and everyone else, was it like different from your expectations when you actually stepped into that environment?
I mean, obviously I'm in the tech sector, so you kind of get a range of both. You'll get like the suited and booted, ready for business, client facing, and then you'll kind of get the more smart casual, jeans on the bottom half, going to work on the top half kind of thing. But I kind of sit somewhere neatly in the middle. So
obviously I've seen your TikToks. So I know you said like, jeans on the bottom and like maybe formal on top. Is there like a pajama situation on the bottom in the TikTok and you're wearing like your top for the TikTok?
No, TikToks we go all out.
All out?
It's all out.
I do see the full fits, I do see.
I do like dressing for the office just because, I don't know, I feel like when you show up to work, heels, good.
Yeah, and I think it's good because there's a lot of ways to like inform people, and TikTok is a really, really good way because it kind of reach a lot of people. So kudos to you on that one.
Just kind of being a woman as well, I think there's a bit more about, what's accepted as formal, what's not formal, what's inappropriate. So I kind of feel like, I try and keep a good balance. Yeah. And what about you, Victor? Your expectations versus reality?
I think when I first started, I was one of the suited and booted. I guess that's the nickname we're going for. So I would be like full suit. And then my manager... Head to toe? Yeah. Okay. Head to toe in the office, 9 a.m. And my manager sort of pulled me aside and said, you don't have to.
Come in dress shoes as well. I come in dress shoes as well.
Yeah, dress shoes. Everything, the whole thing. My manager pulled me aside and said, you don't have to. And I was like, oh, really?
He said relax in a nice way.
And now I've started to relax a bit with the way I go to work,
Okay,
I hear that. Because for me, I think before I started my apprenticeship, my mum was onto me. Like, I started with, I had an afro before I started. And then I told my mum, I'm getting locks. She said, don't. I'm not sure about that in the corporate environment. And she said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get you a suit. We're going to get you a tailored suit. This is like my first tailored suit. Went to the tailor. The price they slapped me with, I was just shocked. They said like 1K on the suit. This is my first tailored suit. I was like, you know what? I'm trying to come dapper. I came in there. Nobody was wearing a suit. Everybody's wearing hoodies.
I hope you had your tag on the suit because...
What? No, but it's tailored in it. So my mom was on the inside. There's no returning that. She really thought it, but then I never wore it again. So I don't know. I think definitely adapting your style for the work environment is one thing you need to learn. But they really say in my workplace, bring yourself to work. So I think that's important.
And also so we've spoken about adapting the way you've dressed and your expectations of the environment, but more specifically, how has the apprenticeship itself changed you, maybe mentally or the way you see life or even technical wise?
I'd say it's increased my confidence a lot. So before the apprenticeship, I was quite a shy person. Didn't really go out. I wasn't really outgoing. But then after like you conduct a few meetings in your team or whatever, you realise like everyone's just human. So it's like you're just speaking to an next person who wakes up and puts their shoes on the same way you do in the morning. So
I agree. I think mine's changed my life fully. Like I think the trajectory was there, I want to say, but the way if I can look back at it, the experiences that I've had, the money it gives, like it is a life-changing experience because one, if you're going to talk on the money side, an 18-year-old getting like the average salary is between £20,000 and £30,000. An 18-year-old getting that, and then you're still interacting with uni students who are looking for SFE, and you're just there every month. You have to, of course, like you can enjoy, but so managing money, managing social life, work relationships, all of that is life changing, for sure.
Definitely. I was promoted to an uncle as soon as I got my first paycheck. Like, yeah, I remember I was around my family and I was because I finally had that corporate job.
Yeah,
it's definitely a lifestyle change. Like, there's a lot more responsibility.
Trust me, giving uncle corporate tips and that.
Yeah, asking him what's going on in school. You know, you need to pick an apprenticeship and all of that. Yeah, that type of
stuff. I think as well, like throughout the apprenticeship, we're still like fairly young, so we're still maturing
that's the thing.
Definitely.
So it's nice to be able to like mature, but also have that like be able to manage your finances and stuff while you're growing up, and just knowing how to kind of conduct yourself in the business world.
I think I'll just piggyback off of that as well. I think people on the apprenticeship tend to grow up a lot faster than the uni students, because like one thing to realize about the apprenticeship is it is a real job. Like it's not like they're not giving you pretend work to do.
Yeah, you have responsibilities.
So you have real responsibilities and like real things to do. So it's not like all just it's not the same thing as going to uni essentially.
That I got work in the morning, the next day it does hit.
Yeah.
Like it could be negative to some or positive to others, but like when you're out with your friends, me and Victor, we go to the same uni with our apprenticeship. So when we're out at university in the ACS, for example, and you're thinking it's getting quite late, the party hasn't kicked off yet, I can't stay. People are saying there's going to be an afters. I'm like, it's actually office.
You have a curfew.
Yeah, like if I turn up with baggy eyes or I can't perform, it's actually my job. You have to check yourself to see who's paying you. Like it's cool to be around your friends and stuff, but get the job done and then enjoy after.
Yeah.
And Kwesi, would you say like it met your expectations?
What, the apprenticeship?
Yeah.
I would say on average it met expectations because there's been some peaks and some, like a lot of troughs, a lot of lows. So on average it balances out. My expectations around being in a company, getting to network, that was met. My company does incredible networking skills, and as Ruby mentioned before, we were part of a charity called the Amos Bursary, which teaches us about how to navigate your spaces in corporate spaces. So expectations when it's talking to people that are earning X amount or has been at the firm for longer than you've been alive for, that was met. But expectations in terms of the work is real, as Victor said, the work is really real.
Yeah.
Like
really,
people
really
will message
real.
you from New York telling you that the person in Singapore hasn't done the person in Bangalore's work, and it's come back to you. And if you haven't done that, you're actually slowing down the team. So the expectation is crazy.
No, I understand. Does anyone have a controversial answer to that, expectations being met, or is everyone pretty satisfied with how it's going?
I think I do.
Oh?
In secondary school and sixth form, I'm used to putting my head down and doing the work. Like in the classroom, you can't really talk to me. Like I'll talk to my friends and whatnot. And lunchtimes, I'll talk to my friends as well. But I really just don't socialize outside of that. So I realized that on the apprenticeship or in the working world, you can't try it essentially.
Yeah.
Like when I first started this year's rotation, I used to bring my headphones in, noise cancelling, and just try and like drown out the external noise and do the work. But I realized you can't just do the work because people notice that, and so it's just like a part of the job is actually networking.
Yeah, the soft skills.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yes, soft skills are really important, especially when it comes to like your career development down the line, when they're considering who they want to promote or who they want to give extra responsibility to. Definitely, you need to be memorable in some sense. Yeah, so obviously that's on the job, but before that, you need to get the role, right?
Yeah.
So who thinks they had the most difficult application process? Or do you think it's fairly the same?
I think I had one. I think it was more, I don't want to say my fault, but it was more around the application season was quite difficult, because with apprenticeships and sixth form or college, they time it in a weird way. Like 100%. You're doing exams and you're doing your interviews and all of them at the same time. So I remember I was coming home from just finishing an exam, tired, I was stressed out. Getting back home was like an hour for me. And then I got back home and the internet was
shaky.
Yeah, shaky. So my interview, like, we kept having to like restart. But you know, I think I put on serious interview skills and I really got in there. So I think just other than the timing, I think it was fine. Yeah.
Elijah, why are you laughing?
I was about to say pause. But I relate to Ruben on that point though, that you have to be able, especially being able to manage like between like sixth form and also applications as well. Because with applications, I think the best way to kind of do applications is that you try and make sure it's catered towards the company that you're working for and also what they're looking for. So in doing that, you have to research the company, you have to make sure that you look at the application, you have to craft your CV in a certain way, and then you also have to do that alongside doing A-levels. So I think that could be a hard thing to do. However, I think the benefits are definitely worth it in terms of being able to get into a space where, you know, you could work for usually like a massive company and you could understand their processes, how they do certain things, and how to do your role, understand how to kind of first take that first steps into your future. It's obviously worth it, but being able to balance both of those things I think could be very difficult for some people. And I definitely had struggles doing that as well, being able to manage my time in that context. Honestly, and even assessment centers and things like that, some of those things take like a day. Some of those things take a day, so you have to miss a day of school and then you have to catch up.
I did kind of want to bounce off what you said about the application being kind of specific, because I'd say all degree apprenticeship or apprenticeship applications are very company specific in comparison to UCAS, because it's like you have a personal statement, word count to meet, you have to like kind of almost go through like countless drafts. It's a long process, and then you can submit that same personal statement to 5 universities. So it's not really that specific, whereas with degree apprenticeships, it's more of like a layered recruitment process. Like you've got 100%. Pre-recorded interviews, networking events, assessed networking events, one-to-one interviews, assessment centres, and then depending on the industry, you can have like technical interviews. The software is definitely technical interviews. So it's a bit more of a tedious process, but yeah, if you really want it and you kind of cater that time, you could definitely do that.
And who would? Oh, you go for it.
Sorry, I was just gonna add, like, it is a tedious process, but I'd say by no means it's a process that you should do alone. Without like some sort of mentor or coaching, it is very difficult. I think every single person that I've spoken to that does an apprenticeship had some sort of coaching or a mentor before getting onto it. So I think that's the best tool you can have.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just going to mention just recently from the news about, I don't know if you guys have seen the stories on
UCAS.
Oh, the 5 questions.
So basically,
I'm jealous.
UCAS essentially sat down, assessed everything, and decided to change their personal statements from just being a one big word count piece of text to catered questions to the course you're applying to. So I think even that in itself, seeing how that's almost mimicking apprenticeship and degree apprenticeship applications, it's definitely showing how we're kind of pivoting in that direction anyway. Makes it more of a fair and even playing field for sure.
Yeah. And I think on that note, you know, people are going to be applying, application season's coming out and starting, and they're looking for advice, they're looking for tips, they're looking for, you know, cheats maybe to, you know, get the role, their dream role. So I know that there is something that you guys are working on, Victor and Safiya, to maybe help some apprentices.
You've let the cat out the bag.
I might have just let it slip.
So we're actually working on an e-learning platform at the moment, where you can sign up to a course hosted by me and Saf, and it will essentially walk you through the steps from finding the apprenticeship for you to actually like securing the application. So it would be CV formatting, assessment days, technical interviews, and that sort of thing, all the way down to like just tips and tricks to help you stand out from the crowd.
Hey guys, I'm Coach VA.
And I'm Coach Safiya.
Welcome to our Landing Your Apprenticeship course. I've teamed up with Coach Safiya here to deliver you a course on how to land your apprenticeship. We'll cover things like going through your CV, your cover letter, assessment days, technical interviews. We'll also be delivering you tips and tricks on how we think you can stand out from the crowd.
We've been in your shoes, we know the ropes, so let us leverage our experience to help you.
Powerful. Yeah, that's necessary. Because I was talking to my mate the other day, and if you realize what the application process for apprenticeship is, it's the same process that interns in their third year are doing to try get their summer to try convert to their job.
Yeah.
The companies, whether it's a good or bad thing, I've told my company like it needs to be a bit younger age friendly, because the 6-stage process for any bulge bracket bank is the same, because they probably outsource it to one company. So doing the 6 stages of having your assessment center, which is going to be hosted by vice presidents at your firm, for any 18-year-old that's in college, that's battling A-levels, they think that their teacher's hard, but the vice president's actually on the Zoom with you. It's difficult.
You'll be shaking.
Now that I'm seeing my friends apply for summer internships, the higher view questions are the same questions that I remember that I was doing in my apprenticeship, which leads on to the telephone interview. I'll say they're going to ask this, why you, tell me about a time when. Then we get to the assessment center. If you have your math exam the next day, how are you gonna manage that? So that's one thing I would say. The application process, it's an art when you're 18 years old to try onboard onto it.
So yeah, you guys have heard it here first. Check out that course that's coming out soon for more detailed information and advice about the whole application process. And our lovely coaches, Victor and Safiya, will be there to help you along the way. So in terms of this process, what would you guys say makes a successful applicant, or why do you think you were successful? And don't say vibes, like, let's go.
I'll start. I mean, I feel like I work well with schedules anyway. So, yeah, schedule-wise for me, going into the office, timely manner, that was all right. As well as that, just having good organisation, because you've actually got a full degree you've got to be keeping up with. And as much as you think you're not being assessed, you're being assessed on both sides. So just kind of keeping up with things in general, really.
I think I'll say that I just wanted it more than anyone else. Like, I was looking into apprenticeships from like year 11. So it's like, I knew, like, in and out, inside and out, like, there wasn't a question that an employer could ask me that I didn't know about. So like, I was practically explaining to them what I wanted from the apprenticeships. I was telling them, you're going to do this and this and this for me. I think that really impresses them, because a lot of apprenticeships are new, and so they're essentially trying to figure out where they should take it. So if they've got someone who's going to come in and tell them, I want the apprenticeship to be structured this way. I'm not saying you should go in there
to make demands.
Don't be too big.
Yeah, don't try and fix the company, but obviously apprentices should be dictating like where they want to go in their career, that sort of thing.
That's powerful, because as much as you need to be right for the company, it needs to be right for you as well.
Yeah. I agree with Victor 100%. I think you need to be able to go into like an interview or assessment center with a certain amount of assurance and confidence. I think you need to understand what you can bring to a company. And I think that one of the things in my apprenticeship has really helped me on is being able to, I don't feel intimidated at all when I talk to people that work in the corporate world.
At all, that's a big word.
I have to agree with him.
I don't get intimidated as much.
Maybe
I don't
it's
get
because of the
intimidated
English as well, because we've been to a couple events where we're talking to like vice presidents of large companies. Like, we've talked to people high up in Bank of America, Sony, and all these large companies, and I think it's just practice. Like, the amount of networking events you go to, the amount of people that you connect to on LinkedIn, just being in that space, eventually you get there. But I would definitely say I agree with you on the what you bring to the workplace, because I knew I wanted to do an apprenticeship around year 11, year 10 as well. And I remember I was specifically tailoring myself to what can I bring to the company itself, as well as what can I bring to the work. Like, I remember telling them, like, outside of law, I was passionate about ESG and a lot of political things, because I wanted to study politics anyway. And I remember that in the company that I am in, and a lot of companies nowadays are focused on ESG and promoting these type of things. So I said, I'm going to bring that to you guys if you guys need any help in like my sort of space, or you guys can help me get to that level as well. So I think bringing yourself is important.
Yeah, I think to echo what everyone said, those are maybe in that order, like passion, preparation, and then confidence. If you bring that to anything you want to do, I think it kind of just shows. You can't really be confident if you don't know anything, if you don't know. So, it all goes hand in hand. Yeah, it all goes hand in hand. And like I mentioned earlier, like with the confidence you bring and like kind of showing up with the soft skills as well, it can really direct the trajectory of like your career. So what I kind of wanted to ask, because obviously I didn't do a degree apprenticeship, what is like the career development? What is the next step? What comes next?
I'd say
for like us individually, or?
For anybody. So some, like for example, my one is like you're a junior and then you can be a mid, you can go to senior, you can go into testing. So do you guys, is it like you just want to finish first and then you're going to figure it out, or do you kind of know where the line takes you?
I'd say it depends on the individual. So it depends on where you see yourself, because you might, at the end of the apprenticeship, you might decide this isn't for me, and then you're more than happy. You're like, most companies are more than welcoming for you to just find a new company or take on a new role entirely.
Yeah.
And I think that's like when we talk about firm culture, I think that's a big thing, like internal rotations, like being able to switch from, I don't know, tech to the business side, for example. I think that's a big thing when it comes to like firm culture. So I'd say it depends on you and what you're seeing. So like I've seen that it's the company I'm at, they're open to that sort of thing where you can rotate out of tech and rotate into tech, that sort of thing. So I think maybe a bit more education. Nothing. There's no harm in like going after your degree apprenticeship to go and do a master's, for example, that sort of thing. And then after that, then looking to switch into the business side, for example, that sort of thing.
So I think someone mentioned earlier, like you could be 18 and having to have a meeting with a VP and stuff like that. But obviously that's just one like interview. You actually have to be in the workplace now, working with all these experienced people. So I know this is a big question in any role about imposter syndrome. How do you get over it? How do you adjust? So did you guys face that, and how did you kind of adapt to the working environment at such a young age?
I definitely faced quite a bit of imposter syndrome. Like I remember talking to Elijah a bit about it, and the way that I challenged it or faced it was just doing public speaking. Like I feel like almost having to tell people I deserve to be here was the best way for me to like understand it myself.
He said, listen to me.
Yeah. Like I was doing a couple of presentations to like government organizations about ESG, social mobility and all of that. And I remember being on stage and I was like, at first you're shaking. You get up on stage and you're like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm speaking here. This is me. Like, I as much as like I might not be the typical person who's here, what I'm saying, they're taking it in. So I must be the right person to be saying it. So I think just like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone until everything is covered and suddenly you're comfortable there. Like I think public speaking is the best way.
I have to agree with that. Like one thing that you realize is that your badge works the same as anyone else's. It's weird. This time last year, all three of us, we got offered an opportunity to work in New York for a month. But me and Elijah were able to go. Reuben's going this year though. He was trying to get this year.
I've seen the New York trip.
But yeah, so we went to New York to work for our apprenticeship companies, their respective offices in America, and the imposter syndrome I think it was less over there than in London, because what you're realizing is the same badge that I'm using, these guys actually just think I'm a regular worker. And I'm just tapping it, speaking in my British accent, like going, saying, I sit here, I'm from London. And they're going to give you the respect that, not that you need, but that you deserve. So then when I've come back to London, realizing that, wait, everyone in the office knows that I work here, whatever age I'm at. And one big thing about apprenticeships, because they're so new, companies think that you're just graduates. Like your employees think that you're grads, so you're like 22, 21 years old. You're 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
So then when you realize, no, my badge works, it's not like some intern paper thing, it's even a biometric at some companies.
You're a fully fledged professional.
So to challenge imposter syndrome, just remember that they've given you this badge for a reason. Yeah,
and everyone starts somewhere as well. The people you're looking up to, they didn't come out of the womb like that.
Exactly.
So,
you definitely get like the nerves for the start. I know when I first started, it was just the first morning meetings. Obviously in tech we have like scrum meetings. Everyone has scrum meetings. Yeah, so it's just a bit like everyone's talking about things, you don't really know what's going on. And I'm the type of person where I feel most comfortable where I know what's going on and I feel like I can contribute to some extent. So you kind of just have to humble yourself a little bit and know that you're learning from everyone else. And just like when you're at big companies as well, and they're all kind of abbreviate, that's it. At big companies, everyone's abbreviating everything. So like I'll be sitting in my first meetings and people will be like, oh, what's the update on CRQR1? And everyone will be like, yeah. And I'll be sitting there like, what's going on? So like, I feel like just going with the process of, you're learning, you'll get there eventually.
I think, because I think most of everybody here works in tech. So I think I work in legal, and I think it was a similar experience, but I think the like barriers to entry in terms of legal is quite high in terms of the type of people that you encounter. Like a lot of people say there's a specific type of person that you will encounter as a lawyer, and most of the people are much older in the industry. So I think realizing that everyone's people, as you mentioned previously, like everyone's a person, everybody has a similar story. I remember thinking the background I'm from, if I come in here, nobody's on what I'm on, nobody knows what I'm going through. And then I remember talking to a couple of people on my team, and I was like, oh yeah, you guys are alive too, you guys are doing too. Like it was fun.
And thank you for like busting those myths, because people have their own perception, and like you've heard it here first, guys, it's not as it seems, it's not as scary as long as you kind of believe in yourself and take each day as it comes. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. For everyone watching, that's just like a little taste of what it's like to be an apprentice. If you have any questions, reach out to any of us, and don't forget to follow CorpFit on all socials. So you can find us on Instagram at CorpFit Official, and you can find us on TikTok at Train with CorpFit. And again, thank you so much, Black Apprentice Network, for being here today, the three of you, and obviously our corporate coaches. Lovely to see you guys again. Guys, check out the last episode of this podcast. You'll see their beautiful faces there too. So I've been your corporate coach, Esther, and before we go, I'm just going to let you guys just tell everybody where to find you, because I'm sure people have loads more questions that weren't addressed in this video.
Yeah, if you want to find the Black Apprentice Network, definitely look us up on Google, on LinkedIn, we're at the Black Apprentice Network, on Instagram, we're at the Black Apprentice Network, and those are the socials that we're on. But we appreciate you having us. It's been a good time. It's been a good time.
Come to TikTok too.
TikTok content creation coming soon.
I see Kwesi smiling like, you guys don't understand. But thanks again, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.